Hey YouTube, it's Meany from BAM's Tactical. Today I want to talk to you about a class I took in February of 2016. It's called ECQC and it's put on by Shivworks. The guy who runs it is Craig Douglas. So, real quick, ECQC is Extreme Close Quarters Concepts. It's the first type of class I've ever taken where you fight hand to hand, and it's the first force on force class I ever took. But before I get into describing the class, let me answer a quick question. Those of you who've probably heard of it before, that's why you searched for this video. Should you take the class? Yes and no. Here's what I'm going to say. If you have some form of mixed martial arts or firearms training prior to this class, yes, you should take it. 100% for sure, take it. If you have no prior training at all in either firearms or mixed martial arts, then I don't think you are ready for this class. Not that it's just so over the top difficult that you couldn't handle it, it's just so much information thrown at you in 20 hours, it's hard to absorb it all. And let me give you an example. I took fighting pistol a year before I took this class with tactical response. So I knew a lot of what we were doing shooting wise going into the class. I knew how to draw my weapon, I knew how to shoot from the two position, I knew how to put a guard up and shoot from the two position, I knew how to shoot backing up, creating distance, I knew how to shoot bringing the gun back in as I lose distance as if somebody was attacking me. So those were all things I knew. So when it went on to these EVOs, these evolutions, and I'll talk about those more in a second, I could focus more on the mixed martial arts stuff that I'd learned through Craig at ECQC because I already knew the gun stuff. I knew how to draw it, I knew how to hold it when I was shooting it and all that. I didn't have, my mind wasn't worried about that. I've already ingrained that into muscle memory. So I got to focus on the mixed martial arts stuff. Vice versa, if you were a guy who you've done jiu-jitsu or some kind of mixed martial arts prior to this class and you haven't done much of the gun stuff, well, he'll teach you the gun stuff, and as long as you know how to shoot it and reload it, he'll teach you the other gun stuff. And then, since you know the mixed martial arts part, you just only have to worry about the gun stuff. So it's a mixture of the two. He's bringing it together. So let's talk about the class now. Once you've decided you want to take it, what is it? So ECQC is from 5 feet and in. If you can touch somebody, that's ECQC. So, and a lot of people work in urban places, you know, every single day there's hundreds of people getting within arm's reach of you. And all the time we don't really think about it. So this 20-hour course, 3 days, 2.5 days. First half a day is majority classroom stuff. And I learned a lot. And Craig even said most people say this is the part where they learn the most. And I did. We learned about, I got some notes here. We learned about what's common in criminal attacks. What's awesome about Craig Douglas is he used to be a cop. So not just a cop, but an undercover cop. So he's actually lived with like street gangs and thugs, and he's learned how they think and how they operate and all that. So he said there's some very common things for all attacks, you know. Unequal initiative, unproportional armament, you learn all this in the class. Awareness is not a verb. People always talk about, well, I've got great situational awareness. Every forum on the internet is talking about, well, you gotta have great situational awareness, and that guy didn't have great situational awareness. And awareness is not a verb. You cannot aware something. So people keep thinking, I've got great situational awareness, but what does that mean? I mean, when you take driver's ed, you learn how to spot cars coming up in your rearview mirror. You start noticing the point of no return when you're coming up to red lights, things like that. And Craig kind of teaches you how to think like that, like you think in a car, but when you're just your person. And it was really cool learning all that stuff. And then we talked about mucks, managing unknown contacts. We talked about how to verbally try to disengage ourselves. We talked about how to create a barrier with our hands. We talked about how to move, how you don't want to move backwards because it puts your weight on your heels, and you want to move sideways, things like that. And it's really cool how you see all this work. And then we learned about pre-assault cues grooming, target glancing, definitive weight shift, where they're moving their weight if they're picking, and they're like trying to make sure their gun's there or whatever. Things like that. And like I said, we spent about 3 hours in the classroom learning all this stuff. Took a lot of notes, took multiple pages of notes, but then was not ready for this. We went outside and we practiced this stuff. And there's 10 guys there, and none of us knew each other prior to this. I think 1 or 2 people had met, but nothing serious. Nobody like came with a buddy or anything. So all of these interactions that we had with people were unique. And you saw how some people were very good at it from the beginning, and some people really struggled with just trying to get them away and trying to make the conversation in. Because all too often we're taught to be polite and respect other people, and you don't have to be an asshole, but you do have to, when you don't want to be in a situation, you have to be able to leave the situation. But it takes practice, like anything else, like pulling out your gun and shooting it takes practice. It takes practice learning how to verbally handle somebody you don't want to deal with. And then we also did some mountain goat wrestling. Quick word on that. If you are bald, this is a month after the class. I don't know if you can see it. I still have a mark, but I'll show you a quick video I took the night of the class and show you what it does when you're bald. Head on head, it rubs you raw. Guys with hair didn't have a problem. I brought a beanie because I watched reviews of the class before. I did not bring it with me that first day. Alright, so it's after day 1 of the ECQC, and this is what happens when you're bald and you do the mountain goat drill and you don't have anything on your head, like a beanie. I read the reviews, I watched the videos, I didn't listen to everybody, and now I have a penis burned onto my head. So, bring your beanie with you if you're bald. Put it on when you do the mountain goat wrestling. I know it may be hot, you may be sweating, but that little layer of protection is going to help you out. Mountain goat wrestling is really cool. I'm a coach. I coach sports. So seeing how he related the things that I try to teach players all the time about the low man wins, lowering your center of gravity, creating this kind of straight line between your head, shoulders, and hips. Craig knows what he's talking about. He's been doing it for a long time, and it's stuff that as soon as you hear, you go, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. Why haven't nobody's ever said that to me before? So awesome. So we go home the first night. We got home late. It was like 6 to 10. Ate something real quick, went to bed, woke up, started early again, 8 a.m. Go back to the classroom. We talked about the rules on the gun range. We went and we spent the first half of the day shooting. Nothing too extravagant. I think we only shot like 100-ish rounds the first day, and it was pretty much just to show that we knew how to draw, point it at the target, pull the trigger, and hit what we were aiming at. That was the whole first day. Safety rules, or not first day, first half of the second day. Sorry, excuse me. So Saturday up till lunch. And like I said, it wasn't anything special. It was just to make sure we all knew how to use our guns, because after lunch, we started learning about how to use our hands to manipulate other people, not just our heads, and we're learning how to disengage and how you don't want to disengage from the front, things like that. As I would have to have a 20-hour video to teach you all the things this guy taught us, because this was by far the most extensive class I've ever taken. We just learned so much in 20 hours. But we did start using the simunition guns after lunch. So I'm 28 years old. I work out 4 to 5 times a week at a minimum. Like I said, I coach. A lot of times I work out with my athletes. I'm by no means out of shape. I do Tough Mudders every year. I'm just trying to point out that I'm not out of shape. That first Evo we did Saturday afternoon, I got whooped by a 50-plus-year-old man. And it just, the guy had some mixed martial arts training in the past. And the first Evo, we were on the ground, and I'll show you here in a second, and I just got whooped. And it just goes to show that it's not necessarily how tough you are, or how strong you are, or how fast you are, or how big or small. I mean, if you know what you're doing, you've got a huge advantage over everybody else. I mean, this guy was 20 plus years older than me, was not in the greatest shape. He was tough, strong, bigger dude, but he had a gut on him, and I was like, okay, I can take this guy. I was kind of upset that Craig paired me with him. I was like, I don't want to go with this guy. Give me somebody that is going to be a challenge. And the guy whooped me. So I do have that on film, on camera, and I'll show you that right now.
Get on top of it. Nice. There you go. Push him away, Steve. Push him away, Steve. You gotta get space, Steve. Push him away. Get that knee in place, Steve. There you go. Good. Good. Nice. Keep fighting, Steve. Keep fighting. Keep fighting, Steve. Keep fighting. Good. Keep going. Legs, Steve. Legs, Steve. Legs. Not yet. Legs. Raise your hips, Steve. Lift your hips, Steve. Lift them up. There you go. Bump him off. Bump him off. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Good. Keep going. Come on. Come on. Buck, Steve. Buck. Control his hands so he's not punching and buck. Keep going. Good. You're okay. You're all right. Lift your leg. Lift your hips. Lift those hips up. Put your cock. That's it. Good. Right into it. Just like that. Keep going. Break! Break! Good job. Nicely done.
There we go.
All right, so as you can see, somebody sitting on your chest is not easy to deal with, especially when you're not used to it. I mean, you play around with your cousins or your brother and sister, or you wrestle in high school, there's always somebody there saying stop. And Craig told us before we started the Evos that he was going to let it go until he thought we had learned what we needed to learn. And so some of the Evos stopped real quickly, some of them went on, and guys got pounded on a little longer because Craig wanted you to know what you did wrong. And that's how the first day ended. And we did a lot of practice with all this different stuff before we ever did the Evo. The Evo was the last thing we did at the end of the day. So we go home Saturday, and we went to dinner, about 6 or 7 of us with Craig. And like I said, he's an awesome guy. He's a guy that if he lived down the road, like, I'd be going out and getting dinner and drinks with him every week. He's one of the coolest dudes I've ever met. Let me just say something about that real quick. Reed Hendricks, Calvin Lim, Jay Gibson, Dave Biggers, Gary Marr, and Craig Douglas are all the instructors that I've had through my 4 tactical classes that I've taken. And there's 2 that stand above the rest in my book, and that's Jay Gibson and Craig Douglas. Because these dudes are not just super smart, like they know everything that they're talking about. They've got a way of passing that information along that's better than most people out there. They're good at teaching. Coming from a guy who teaches and coaches, I mean, they are good at teaching. And I mean, they just got a good style that I like. They're pissed off, mad, and loud when they need to be. They're reserved, quiet, and comforting when they need to be. They get a good feel for who they're teaching. If you're a guy that needs to get yelled at to get you going, he'll do that. If you're somebody who's a little more reserved and introverted, he'll back off a little bit, but he'll still give you that push, making you do what you need to do. So anyways, on to day 3. Day 3, we had 2 Evos to do this day. We learned a little bit more, but day 3 was a lot of practicing. At this point, you're mentally exhausted, you're physically sore. When I woke up Sunday morning, I was as sore as I had run a Tough Mudder. And Tough Mudder is 10 plus miles of running with 25 obstacles. I did that twice now, and I was just as sore after a day and a half of ECQC as I was after running a Tough Mudder. And it is brutal. You get beat on, but that's how you practice a fight, is you fight. So nobody got seriously hurt throughout the class. I had this. I got a bloody knuckle. It still hasn't quite healed yet. But and we all got bumps and bruises and cuts, but nobody got seriously hurt. Craig does a good job of stopping people once he sees somebody get in like an arm bar or a leg bar or something. He, time, stop, because he knows it's. If you've never been put into an arm bar or leg bar before, you may try to fight it and then you could get seriously hurt. Or fight it the wrong way. There's a right way to fight it and a wrong way to fight it. So, anyways, we get into Evo 2 and 3. Evo 2 was my favorite. It was the 2-on-1 evolution. And what's cool is it's all improv. I love this. You might think, oh, well, I'm not a good actor. I don't know what to do. Well, you play off what the other person's doing. And you've got two actors and one person, essentially you're being yourself. So one person will approach you saying or doing something, and then after a couple minutes Craig will send a third one in to mix it up some more. And the one that I was the guy mixing it up, I had a lot of fun when I was the guy antagonizing the other guy. I had a lot of fun. I got to tackle him, take him to the ground, pull his gun, try to use it on him. Yeah, it was fun until it was my turn to go. And then I get old boy Ivan, who's from Bulgaria. So he comes at me, starts screaming, "Oh, you did this or that, you MF," and starts going off in Bulgarian. And it was really like, even though I knew I was in just a scenario in class, when he got that look on his face and started screaming a language I didn't know, I was like, oh, what do I do? And I froze, and he pulled a knife. And then, we learned how to deal with that. So I was holding the knife at bay, trying to disengage him, and he found my gun, pulled that on me. And then third guy comes in, knocks me to the ground, starts acting like Ivan's brother. "Hey, this is the dirtbag that slept with your wife, yada, yada, yada." So I'm just like, oh, crap. Now I'm really screwed. I'm laying on the ground. They're both standing above me. Guy's pointing a gun in my face, and he's saying... and it's a simunition gun, it's not a real gun, but he's pointing a gun in my face, and I remember thinking at that moment, I'm so fucking dead. Like, how did it get to this point? And then I do a last-ditch effort. I dive at him trying to save my life, and I get shot like 6 times in the back. I still got marks a month later. Those simunitions hurt when they're at point blank. But in my mind, I had this Hollywood mentality of, I'm not going down without a fight. And, well, I didn't go down without a fight, but I still went down. And so what's awesome about Craig is after each one of these evolutions, he stops and has a roundtable discussion with everybody about what happened and what could have happened differently for that to be a better outcome. I had one of the worst outcomes. I mean, a few people got killed, but I got killed more times, worse than anybody else had. And Craig talked about how I was, and I'd never noticed this before, when somebody tells me, like he was saying, "You're the guy who slept with my wife," and I was like, "I don't know what you're fucking talking about, man." Like, I was arguing with him instead of being like, "Look, dude, I'll never go around her again. I'm so sorry, whatever you say." Like, just trying to apologize and back away from the situation and verbally exit myself from this scenario. I was arguing with the guy. And when guys get pissed and they get mad and they've got their pride on the line, they don't want to argue, they want to win. So if you just let them win the argument, "Oh man, my bad, I'm sorry man, I'll never see her again, hey man, I promise, never again, you won't even see me this side of town," yada yada yada. And like Craig explained that, because bad guys, that pride's a big thing to them. And I was like, oh man, so I learned a lot, and I learned how to handle it a little better. And then we get to Evo 3, and Evo 3 is a ground thing, and I did pretty good on that one. But all in all, I got my ass kicked. But so did just about everybody else out there, just at different levels. I was one of the more younger and fit ones. We had a guy there who was 22, right out of college, and some more guys around late 20s like me, and then we had some guys that were up in their 50s. And they all participated, they all did.
Nice. Nice pass. You gotta face him, Mike. Don't let him bind you down like that. Face him. Good. That's it. Keep working. Working. Nice. Nice. Backward. Nice. Good reversal. And good reversal again. Keep going. Nice. Good job. Very common. Keep going. Good. Where's it at? Oh, it's not where you thought it was. Keep going. Very common in a fight for that to happen. That's common too to not realize that's happening. Break! Break! Good job. Nice job, guys. Good spirit. Good pressure. Go! Get on it. Nice pass. Break. That's enough. That's enough. I'm getting torn off. All right. Call it right there. Nicely done. Pressure. Guys, watch. Pay attention. Ready? Go! Get on it. Keep out, Doug. Keep out, Doug. Good. Push. Push. Keep driving. Keep driving. Break. Oh, what you got? Get this on. Champ. All right. Restart from there. Try not to grab the helmets. Ready? Go! Nice, Doug. Drive through him. There you go. Really good. Keep weight on him. Keep weight on him right there. Keep weight on him and work your legs out. Keep weight on him and work your legs out, Doug. Stay on top. Now turn into him while keeping your weight on him. There you go. Good. Nice. Yes. Keep that weight on him. Yes. Stay heavy on him. Good. Keep that weight on him and just gas him out. Work on freeing your gun hand. Work on freeing your gun hand. Drive into him, Doug. Drive into him, Doug.
Oh, wow.
Drive into him, Doug. Break. That's enough. That's enough. Shoulder okay, Doug?
Yeah.
You all right? Keep out, Dwayne.
Good job.
Nice.
Good job.
Stay on top, Dwayne. Stay on top, Dwayne. Good. Nice. Good job.
Good job.
Nice.
Wow.
Really good job. JJ, you're on deck. Dwayne, all right, guys, last one of the day. Pay attention. Ready? Go! Good.
Oh, way to go. There you go.
Work it. Break.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was awesome. Oh, yeah, I've heard it. You all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Oh, boy.
Hold on, stop.
Participated, they all did, and that's what's the thing is when you go into these evos, when it's your turn to go, when you're the main character, you are yourself. You are doing what you can handle and what you would do in that situation. That's why it works for everybody. I mean, if you're a 60-something-year-old guy and you know you can't take on this guy, you're going to make sure you give yourself enough space and you draw that gun sooner. That was one of my biggest deals, is I let this guy get too close and then I didn't draw my gun. He was about from me to the camera, see, I can't touch you, and I went to draw it, and I've seen the film of it. I went to draw it, and then he took a big step at me. Instead of me finishing the draw and shooting from the 2 position, I stopped drawing. I left it there and went to fight him hand to hand. Terrible decision by me, but you learn. That's why you do these things. You learn what you should have done better, so if that situation comes around again, you'll know what to do. So, awesome class. I loved it. I will take it again. I even told this Craig to his face. I was like, look, man, if you're in Texas again next year, I'm doing it again. I'm taking it again. I don't feel like I learned enough of what you were selling to us for this one class to be enough. I need to do it again. I loved it, and I want to learn more. And he's like, awesome, I'd love to see you again. You know, yada, yada, yada. So Awesome guy, had an awesome time. All the dudes there were great guys. I mean, you go hard, you've got to be competitive for it to be worth anything. If you just let the other guy win, he doesn't learn anything. And we had a really competitive class, and which was awesome. That's what we needed. We needed to push each other, and I had a great time. Like I said, if you've got some MMA or hand-to-hand combat training, or you've got some pistol training, this is the next class, man. Like, I took fighting pistol from Tactical Response. I learned a lot. This is the next class for me. This is the next most important one. If you are preparing for any kind of bad situation to happen on a day-to-day basis, you know, this isn't going to help you if you want to be in a militia or if you're thinking the world's going to end. But if what you're worried about is that guy on the street corner late at night might be coming to get your wallet, and he's going to pull a knife or a gun on you, like, this is the kind of class you want to take. If you want to be able to protect your wife or your kids or whatever from bad people just on a day-to-day basis, this is a great class to take. So I hope you've learned a lot about the class. What I'm going to show you now is just a quick video that a guy who came to the class on the third day shot. He shot some video and he made a good mashup. I'm going to put a link to the guy's YouTube video also because I'm yanking it off his channel. So if you want to go over there and show him some love, if you like that video, go ahead and do it. But that's what I'm going to end with. So that's where it came from. And if it doesn't get you fired up about taking the class, I don't know what will. But like the video if you liked it. Leave a comment below if you've got anything to say, any questions or anything, any concerns, you know, things like that. Subscribe if you want to see more. We're getting more videos out every day. And remember, people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the mashup.
Thank you.